There is a mountain in the Andes, almost 3 miles above the sea, in a place so cold and barren that nothing grows and almost no one should live. And yet, 400 years ago, it was home to one of the largest cities on Earth. People came from across the world for what was inside it, because this mountain was made, very nearly, of silver. It produced more wealth than any other place in human history, enough to make one country the richest on Earth. And that wealth would help bring that same country to its knees. The Spanish had a phrase for something of unimaginable value. They said it was worth a Potosi. In 1545, in what is now Bolivia, the Spanish found the Cerro Rico, the rich mountain. The ore was so pure that at first it could simply be dug out and melted in crude clay furnaces. Word spread, and people poured in. Within a few decades, Potosi had become a boomtown of staggering size. By 1600, very likely more than 100,000 people, making it, in barely 50 years, one of the most populous cities in the world. And all of this clung to the side of a freezing mountain at over 13,000 feet, where almost nothing could be grown, and where food, wood, and water had to be hauled in from far away. But the silver did not give itself up easily. As the richest surface ore ran out, mining meant going deep, and refining the poorer ore meant mercury, a slow poison. To find the workers, the Spanish turned to forced labor. In 1573, the Viceroy Francisco de Toledo adapted an old Inca system of rotational work called the meter. Under it, around 13,000 indigenous men were sent to Potosi every year, each made to labor for months at a time, drawn from communities hundreds of miles away. They descended into hot, airless tunnels, breathing dust and lamp smoke, hauling ore up ladders of frayed rope. Many never came home. The mountain, people said, ate men. You will often hear that the mines killed 4, 6, even 8 million people. The conditions were genuinely lethal. That part is not in doubt. But that staggering number should be treated with care. The records of Potosi are so riddled with theft, smuggling, and lost or falsified accounts that historians cannot even agree how much silver the mountain produced. By some estimates, the true figure is more than double what was ever written down. When we cannot count the silver, we should be honest that we cannot precisely count the dead. The horror was real. The exact number is a legend built on top of it. And the silver itself. It flowed out of the mountain and across the entire world. And this is where the story becomes truly global. A great deal of it never stayed in Europe at all. On the other side of the planet, Ming China had reformed its taxes to be paid in silver, and a country of 100 million people now needed more of the metal than it could ever mine. So Spanish silver, carried across the Pacific from the 1560s on great galleons, drained eastward into China to satisfy that hunger. For the first time in history, a single commodity tied together the Americas, Europe and Asia into one connected market. Potosi helped create the global economy. Back in Europe, all that new silver had a stranger effect, one the Spanish never saw coming. When money becomes abundant, it becomes worth less. Across the 16th century, prices in Spain roughly tripled, and the rising tide of inflation spread outward into France, England, the Low Countries, and beyond. It became known as the price revolution. For the first time, Europeans watched the cost of bread and grain climb year after year, while the value of their coins quietly melted away. A flood of treasure had made everyone, in a sense, poorer. Now, the simple version of this story says, Spanish silver caused the inflation. The inflation ruined Spain. The end. But the truth is more tangled and more interesting. Recent research suggests that for over a century, Spain may not even have minted much of this American silver into its own coins, which complicates the idea that it simply flooded the Spanish money supply. And the inflation had other engines too: a falling Spanish population, growing cities, and a wave of silver from mines in Central Europe that may have started the rise before American silver ever arrived. The silver from Potosi was a powerful force, but it was one cause among several, not a single villain. What is clear is the paradox at the heart of it all. The country that owned the richest source of silver on earth did not grow strong and stable. It went bankrupt, again and again. Instead of investing the windfall in industry or farming at home, the Spanish crown poured it into endless wars across Europe. The treasure passed through Spain's hands like water through a sieve, leaving debt behind. By the later 17th century, the nation that had once seemed unstoppable was a second-rate power, bankrupt, shrinking, its great cities sinking back into a poor countryside. The silver had not built anything lasting. It had simply been spent. Historians have a name for this pattern, and it is not confined to the past. The resource curse. A country that strikes a sudden, enormous source of wealth, silver, gold, oil, often ends up weaker, not stronger. The easy money props up the rulers, funds their wars and their luxuries, and quietly removes any reason to build a real economy. When the treasure runs out, there is nothing underneath. Cerro Rico still stands today, hollowed out and unstable, picked over for what little remains. It made a nation the richest on earth, swallowed countless lives, and left, in the end, a poorer country and a dying mountain. Wealth that is dug out of the ground, it turns out, is not the same as wealth that is built.